I just have a question. I mean, I'm a born-again Christian, and if you have time, I'd love to give you my testimony. But are you making any headway on getting a message across to black people on how, again, what you've been saying and your views?
So what changed about you if you still have anger?
I mean, you're making a point here, which I'm going to try.
No, that was a question.
Yeah,
That wasn't a point. That was a question.
No, okay.
Nick, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Jesse, thank you so much for having me on there and taking my call. I just discovered your YouTube channel, I guess, like a week ago, and I just been watching them over and over and over again.
Thank you.
And I just have a question. I mean, I'm a born-again Christian, and if you have time, I'd love to give you my testimony. But my question is, have you been able to maybe convince other black people about your views? Have you had a lot of resistance? Are you making any headway on getting a message across to black people on how, again, what you've been saying and your views?
Yeah, there are a lot of black men and women too who are starting to really look at themselves to see what's wrong with themselves. And they are hearing the message of forgiveness. They need to forgive their mothers, because most black people don't know that their problem is not white people, it's not racism, but they resent their mothers and grandmothers, and they're yearning for the father. And there are blacks who are hearing that, and they're starting to work on themselves and overcome the lie. It is happening for sure.
Awesome. That's great, because it's just so funny how I was watching one of the videos and where you were talking about how whites are oppressed, and I was surprised for you to hear that. But then when you pointed it out, I was like, yeah, I guess I could agree with that. But thank you so much. And I just wanted to point out, because I know you talk about you're a Christian, and you talk about being a Christian, and I'm a born-again Christian. I got saved in 2012. And basically, long story short, I don't want to hold you up, fear came over me. I was drinking a bottle of bourbon a week, and I was holding back because I could have drank more. But I'd have a bottle in the garage, a bottle in the shed, wherever I could put one. And fear came over me. The fear of God came over me one night. I dropped to my knees and just cried out to him. I got up and I was changed. Never drank. Not that I never drank again, but I don't drink like I used to. Now I drink a beer once in a while. I have a glass of wine, but I don't drink anywhere near the way I used to. A lot of things changed in my life because I became changed, because I became a born-again Christian. I'm not perfect. I sin, but like everybody else, but I know that I have to go to the Father and repent and get on my knees and ask for forgiveness. But I just wanted to point that out to you.
Yeah, what is a born-again, when you say you're a born-again Christian, what is that exactly?
So when trying to explain to someone that hasn't gone through this experience, it's kind of hard. But basically, like I said, the Bible says in Proverbs, I believe, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And like I said, I had such a fear come over me. Like if I died at that moment, I'd go straight to hell. And that came over me. And because I was having like a nervous breakdown, I was I was having a tough time in my life at that time. And my wife was away with the kids skiing, and I was home. He was with our friends, and I was home drinking, and just again, all of a sudden, I felt something come upon me where if something happened to me and I died, I'm going to hell. And then I dropped to my knees right there and then, and I cried out to the Lord and asked him for forgiveness. And then when I got up, I was changed. I was just different. I knew something happened to me. I didn't know exactly what it was at the time. I was a little confused, but I knew that I didn't have the same desires as I had. A peace came over me, and then I started to realize. And then I started reading my Bible. Read the Bible 4 times. I read it every day, every night, every day. I read the Bible. You have to have a relationship with God, and that's basically how I became born again.
And you believe that you have a relationship with God?
I do.
And
I do. I believe.
What does that relationship look like?
Well, he's my father. I'm able to talk to him. Now, I don't hear an audible voice. I don't know if anyone does, but I do get, and I got to be honest with you, I got saved, again, in 2012. when I first got saved, I was so on fire for the Lord. I was speaking His name wherever I went. I was going out witnessing to people. And I'm not making excuses now. I still am saved because I believe that once you have this experience, you're saved. I've cooled off a little bit, unfortunately, which is unfortunate for me, and I know that. And I know that I got to get closer to Him. The world beats you down, and I'm not making excuses. It's just the way it is. We live in this disgusting, filthy world. It beats you down, and then I ended up, and I'm drifting a little bit, but I still read my Bible and I still pray. So the relationship is just, again, speaking to Him and reading His Word and praying to God and just, reading His Word.
Does He answer your prayers?
He does answer my prayers, but the Lord will answer your prayers on His time. Sometimes we have so much, you want it done yesterday, but you have to wait. But I'll give you one example.
What?
I'll give you one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So when I first got saved, I was going through a lot of tough stuff with my son, who was 14 or 15 at the time, maybe 16. I can't remember exactly. But and I kept hearing, I kept hearing in my heart, and I had these rock and roll records downstairs. Like I'm a guy that if I get something, I keep it perfect. I had, I don't know, $400-500 worth of records when I was younger, and I used to play records. And I kept hearing in my heart, you got to get rid of these records. So I looked into it, and the rock and roll industry is very satanic and it's very bad. And they have a very bad messages for kids and adults. So I kept hearing it, but I didn't want to do it because I love those records. And I didn't want to get rid of them. I was like, I could sell them, but you can't sell them because then you're giving this garbage to someone else. So anyway, one day I got up, and my son was into drugs, and he was into issues, and we were fighting. I was going to kick him out of the house. We were having all these issues. And I went down, and I grabbed all my records. I broke them up in pieces, ripped up everything, and started pleading the blood of Jesus on myself and on my house. My son came down that same day, apologized to me, and then I saw him go on a path, which was he was leaving that path of destruction. Now, he had some rocky times along that path, but I saw a little bit of a change in him. So things like that has happened, and the Lord will answer your prayers. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy at first, again, but I do feel that me getting rid of those records and get rid of that stuff. And some people might hear me right now and think I'm crazy, but it's true. It happened. And that day he came down and apologized for what he's been doing to me.
Does your wife obey you?
My wife is, I guess, not all the time. No, that's the easiest question and easiest answer. No, not all the time. She's Jewish. I married a Jewish woman.
Are you white?
We do.
Are you white?
Not crazy.
No, I asked, are you white?
Yes.
And you married a Jewish woman?
Yes.
And she doesn't obey you?
She's not a she's not a religious Jewish person. She's a more cultural Jew. She likes the whole aspect of being Jewish, but she doesn't go to temple. She doesn't do anything like that.
Why did you marry that kind of a woman?
Yeah, well, I don't know how long your show is, but they let me try to see how I could put this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking I could change her. Maybe I was thinking I could, which you can't. You can't change people. When I first got saved, though, when she came back from skiing, I was trying to tell her about what happened, and she did reject it, and she still hasn't. But she's accepted it, and she's followed me to Indiana to get baptized. I mean, she's been with me, and but we don't agree on this. On the whole religion thing, obviously.
Do you have anger?
Yeah, I know. I hear you say that sometimes, and that's another question. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's something that I do believe, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you can correct me on this. That you could have righteous anger. When you hear about babies being, whatever, or people being hurt and things happening, that anger builds up in you as a righteous anger. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, and again, it's not like I'm out of my mind with anger, but it gets so. I do get upset when I see what's going on in the world. And
So
I see
do
what's
you have
happening.
anger?
Yes, I do have anger.
And have you forgiven your mother?
I have. My mom, I haven't, I never had any ill, the only problem I had with my I'm sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place here. I lost my mother when I was 18 years old. She died in her sleep. We had a heart condition in my house. And I've lost my father young and my brother. So it's just, so I don't, the forgiveness thing, I'll give you an example of what how I have forgiven, because I know forgiveness is big. I was, at the time before I got saved, I was fighting with my sister. It was my only sibling left because of the house and whatever else we were arguing about. And I didn't talk to her for about, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And then once I got saved, I knew the Lord wanted me to forgive her, so I called her up and I forgave her. But I know that forgiveness is big, and you have to continue to forgive.
Have you forgiven
people.
your mother?
I don't understand. I just heard this a second ago when you talked to somebody else. You feel that everyone has anger towards their mom.
All men and women
Can you
hate their
explain
mothers.
that to me?
All men and women hate their mothers, and they become just like their mother. The way you think and the way you feel, it's the same spirit that's in your mother. And when she imposed her will on you, as a kid, she made you angry. And now you think and feel like her, but you don't realize that this, because any male that has anger is a woman, and you don't realize you have your mother's nature inside of you, which is the nature of evil. Your mother couldn't help herself. But you must be born again of your father, and that hasn't happened yet.
I don't know if I agree with you.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. You said you disagree that that spirit that was in your mother is now in you?
I do, because honestly, I never felt, I mean, again, I lost my mother very young. I was just 18. I mean, I was 17. I mean, I was a month of 18, and I lost my mom. I never felt angry towards her. See, I was a third child, I guess you could say. I was a baby child, so I wasn't treated. There was no anger or anything from my mom. I didn't receive. I don't think of her that way. I mean, now that you've brought this up, I will think about it, but I don't. I never thought about having this hatred towards my mom for treating me poorly or for disciplining me or for any reason.
Impose her will on you. Why do you think she would irritate you at times?
Why do I think she would irritate me at times?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess as a child, you do things, and parents have to discipline you. I mean, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know. I haven't really thought about this concept that you have that all people have a hatred towards their moms. So I don't know if I agree with you with that one.
But when she would irritate you about things and get on your nerve, what do you think that was from?
I'm not sure, honestly, Jesse. I'm not sure.
If you didn't have anger toward her, she would not have been able to do that. Irritation is anger.
Okay.
How about your father? You forgiving your father?
Again, I haven't thought about that. I had to forgive them because I didn't feel I had any ill will or towards them at all.
And where do you think your anger came from?
Oh, well, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you because I'm Sicilian, so she'll tell me that. She'll tell you that. But
if I asked her and she said that, she would be lying.
Yeah. So I'm not. I just think that is. I mean, again, I'm going to consider what you're saying here, but I'm just thinking that as being in this world and being human, you're going to have anger. You're going to have issues where you're going to have things going to get you mad, things going to get you angry. I don't hold on to it. I'll tell you that right now. I don't hold on to it. I let it go. And again, I think one of the reasons why I did marry my wife after dating a lot of women. One reason was that she was able to, even if we did have a fight or an argument, she was able to let it go like I was able to let it go, and we wouldn't carry on for a week or a day, and not even a few hours. We'd be done in like an hour or so. We'd be done, and we'd be fine.
Do you believe that anger is of God or of evil?
No, I don't.
And so you have anger, right?
I do. I'm not going to say I don't have anger, sure.
So why do you think that you are a born-again Christian when you have anger?
I believe that Satan is constantly manipulating no matter what. Now, I believe I have the Holy Spirit within me, but I do believe there are outside influences that sometimes do, do things. Outside spirits. I believe in familiar spirits that are here that can mess with you.
Why do you think that you are born-again Christian and you have hatred in your heart?
I don't hatred in my heart. So you feel that anger is having hatred in your heart?
Anger is evil. It's pure evil, and it's of the devil. Why do you think you could be a child of God, born again Christian of God, and still serve the devil as well?
Okay, so again, the experience I had with becoming born again. It was, to me, it happened, and I definitely changed. And I do believe that the world... But you didn't say you had anger before you had that experience, and you still have anger. What changed about you if you still have the anger? Well, again, I don't have, I'm not living angry where I get up and I'm angry at this and I'm angry at that. Instances happen and that'll upset me and I could get angry at that,
So
angry
what changed about you if you still have anger?
Well, again, you're making a point here, which I'm going to try to...
No, that was a question.
Yeah,
That wasn't a point, that was a question.
No, okay. There's certain things I could tell you that actually I don't want to mention on the air here
right.
that I don't do anymore. Okay,
but what changed about you if your heart is still the same?
Oh, I believe my heart changed. I
believe still have anger.
I believe that. See, okay, I'll put it to you this way: you become born again, right? But you still sin. Now, some of it can be willing sin. You can sin, and you're not sinless.
And what is sin that you still committing?
I'm just saying you could have, again, anger towards someone is sin.
Right? Anger is playing God. And
exactly.
So,
anger is sin.
You still have anger, right?
But there's still sin. Like if once you become born again, if you say you have no more sin, then you're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
The Bible
to God.
Doesn't say that. Where you get that from?
Oh, the Bible does say that.
No, it doesn't.
If you say you have no sin,
right? It says
it's in John, I believe.
It says that if you say you have not sinned, you're a liar.
If you say you have not sinned, you're a liar.
It means prior sin,
right?
But it doesn't mean sin after you're born again.
Yeah, I don't. I think you. I don't agree with you.
If it says that you said,
I believe we sin, and you have to. Okay. You have.
I want to go back because of time. What made you think that? I mean, if nothing changed, you're still angry as you were before the experience. Why do you think you're born again of God?
I did change. I know I did.
But you had the anger before that experience happened, right?
Well, the anger before the experience, and then, like I said originally,
you had the anger before the experience, right?
You're right. I have.
And you have the anger after the experience, right?
Well, that let's put it not. When I first got saved,
you have the anger after the experience, right?
I was so on fire for the Lord. There was no anger. But years have passed. The world has got to me, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not making excuses. I'm a man, and I'm going to take. I'll accept what I've done. But to say that you can go through, because I listened to this wonderful pastor online.
How can the world get to a son or daughter of God if you are a son or daughter? How can the world?
Okay, here's the answer, I think. Okay, you have the old man, and you have the new born-again man in you. The old man, the old ways are constantly in battle with the new man. It's trying to drag you down. It's making you look at a woman.
Where you get that
from? If you look at a woman with lust,
where'd you get that from?
I get this from my pastor.
Your pastor lied to you. Ain't no such thing as the old man being in battle with the new man. Doesn't even make sense.
Well, that's what you... I believe it does make sense.
It doesn't. How can the old nature be involved with the new nature when the old nature has been taken?
Because we're still living in the flesh.
When the old nature has
flesh.
been taken away from you, how can the old nature be involved with the new nature when you no longer have the old nature when you're born of God?
Well,
it's not even in you.
You're still living in the flesh. You're still living in this world.
What does that mean?
You're in the flesh.
But the flesh is just the flesh. No, the flesh is not corrupt. The flesh is just the flesh. The corruption lives inside the flesh. And when the corruption is gone, there's no corruption in the house anymore.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
All right. Have you become born again?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a testimony? I know you said you don't have a lot of time. So, do you have a testimony of how your experience of becoming a born again Christian?
I don't know what that means. Have a testimony of it.
Well, that's the thing. So, I'm not sure if you are born again.
What's a testimony of it?
The testimony is what I said to you before, where I was doing all these things. I was doing all these things.
Where'd you get the idea that should be a testimony?
Well, that's what I point to.
But why?
At the moment. Why? What do you mean? Why is that my testimony?
Yeah. Why do you think that's necessary?
I think that all born again Christians have a testimony.
Why?
Of how?
Why
of
do you
how
think that?
Why do I say it?
Yeah, why do you think that? No matter. I'm just because of time. Why do you think? Where did you get that idea from?
Again, being in the church, listening to certain people, and knowing the experience that happened to me, so it just makes sense that this is what happened to me. It changed my, I did change, even though I understand where you're going with it.
Where am I going with it?
Where you say, well, how can you be changed if you have anger?
And you still didn't answer that for me. And I'm trying to answer you this for my own understanding.
No. I'm trying to answer.
If you had anger before you had the experience, and you have it afterward, what changed about you?
And again, the only thing I could go to is to try to understand it. Is having two natures.
So you had two nature before
now. Now. See, before I got saved, I was just a fleshly man living in the world, looking for sex, looking for whatever drugs or whatever I can do to satisfy my flesh. Once I got saved, I got rid of those things, okay? And I have now two natures, where you have the born-again believer who's saved by God, and you have the old man that's trying to always drag you down.
Where did you get all that from?
Again, it's being in the church and listening to certain people talk.
Why did you believe? Why did you believe the preacher when he told you that?
Because it makes sense to me.
How? If you're still miserable beforehand and miserable afterward, why would that make sense that you're of God if you still don't have perfect peace?
Honestly, Jesse, I do.
How can you have perfect peace?
Maybe not perfect. Maybe not perfect
right.
Peace. I'm not going to say I have perfect peace, but I am in my own. I'm happy. I know where I'm going.
Happiness come and go. Happiness is not from God. Peace is from God. Perfect peace.
Well, okay, you can say peace or happiness. I have peace from the Lord for sure.
You have perfect peace?
Not perfect. I don't say perfect because perfect peace is what's your example of perfect peace? Like always like someone does something to me to make me angry, just not have that anger at all. Just like not a problem.
Do you believe that you can live without anger?
Not in this world. I don't think
Why not?
Can. Because things are going to upset me when I see what they're doing to this country and what's going on at the border and these people pouring in. It makes me angry.
Why?
Makes me angry. It does.
Why?
Well, because I know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and for my children and the kids and all that stuff. And I know that this world isn't what it was when I grew up.
Why would that make you angry if you understand what's going on?
it makes me angry that these people that are running our world are so corrupt, so evil.
Let me ask you a question.
Can you be angry at evil? Can you be angry at evil?
What good does it do you when you get angry at it? What good does it do?
It doesn't.
So what's the purpose of getting angry?
It's not a good. It's nothing. I agree with you.
No, that was a question.
What's the purpose of getting angry?
Right.
I think that sometimes if you get angry at something, maybe you could try to make a change in it in a good way, not saying in a bad way by destroying, hurting people.
You cannot change anything for the good with anger. That doesn't work that way at all.
No, I'm saying that maybe if something bothers you so much that maybe you're not doing it out of anger, but you say, you know what, I'm not going to be angry about this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to make a positive change.
But
about
you're doing that
like
out of anger.
like what you're doing, like what you're doing now. I mean, trying to make a positive change on the way black society sees the white society. I'm
not trying to do it for that. I'm trying to let black people know, and all people, but especially blacks, that white people are not their problem. They need to forgive their mothers. Their problems start in the home and not with white people, and they have been lied to so that they can stay in the hell to be used, that it's the white people, but their hearts are wicked, their hearts are evil, and that will pass down to them through their mother.
Okay.
You know what? Call me on Bible Thumping Thursday. Amazing call. I got to run because of time, but very interesting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Amazing. Call me in there, Nick.
Take care, buddy.
Okay.